Well, I didn't come with any requests, but if you wanted to explain to me the assorted festivals that you were just mentioning, I wouldn't mind the extra context.
Okay.
If nobody else has anything more pressing.
I'd love to do that. Yeah. I always like to give priority to the immediate, needs and the hearts of our friends. But yes, I would love to say something about tomorrow.
You can always give me more context if nobody's got anything more pressing.
So your heart is always eager to hear that. I'll remember that. Okay, well, yeah, I'd love to say something about tomorrow. It's a very, very special day. And it's one of those days on our calendars when it's not just one special event or personality connected with it, but there's several. So one of those is Guru Purnima. It is celebrated as Guru Purnima. Purnima indicates the full moon, because the Vaishnava calendar is calculated according to the cycles of the moon. So days are identified by what's called the Titi, the lunar cycle which they're connected with. So Purnima indicates the full moon that day. I'm not sure if it's the waxing or waning. We'd have to check. Sorry. No, I mean in the. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I got that wrong. But there's 2 cycles of the moon. Okay. I'm so dumb sometimes. Obviously, it's the waxing moon, right? So that's called Gora, right? The waxing is called Gora, and the waning is called Krishna, right? So it's that cycle. Gora is Mahaprabhu's name and also means golden, bright. Anyway, so Guru Purnima, it is actually the appearance day of Srila Veda Vyas, Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas, who is the compiler of the Vedic literature, right? And so it is his appearance day. And generally, Guru in general is seen broadly as a representative of Vyasadeva. And when I say Vyasadeva, that name rings a bell for you, Marie?
It's somebody who wrote one of the clusters of the scriptures, but I'm not sure which. Was it the Upanishads or?
Well, I don't know what the opinion is of modern day academics, but according to our line of gurus, Vyasadeva is the person who organized, compiled and organized the totality of the Vedic literature. And he also was the author of some texts. We know Srimad Bhagavatam, and perhaps there are others, I'm not sure. But for the most part, he was like, because the Vedic literature, it came through the hearts, it came as revelation through the hearts, the consciousness of a number of different sages. And so Vyasadeva was the person who compiled that, organized it, and presented it in a way that was more easily accessible to persons at large. So he's very important because of that. And he also, because he gave Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam represents the conclusion of all the Vedic literature, it's distilling the essence of the Vedic message, making clear what is the real purpose of the Vedic text as a whole. And what is that? What is that gift, true gift of the Vedas? It is, divine love for the personality of Godhead, the sweetest personality, Sri Krishna. So that is presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. And that has been given by Vyasadeva. So he has a very important position for us. And I can also add that, and it is relevant to this, discussion today, that actually Vyas is not actually his specific name, it is a title. His name is Krishna Dvaipayam, but Vyas is like a title, and it indicates someone who disseminates a particular knowledge. So he's referred to by that title as Vyas or Vyasadeva. And so in line with that thought, Guru in general is seen as a representative of Vyasadeva. And so, for example, the seat that in our temples, there will generally be a special seat for the Guru, and that is referred to as the Vyasasan. Asan, maybe you know that word from yoga, right? Indicating where you're sitting, asan. So Vyasasan, the place where Vyas sits, it's the place that is reserved for the Guru, for the Acharya. And so, in line with that, idea that Vyas is the one who is spreading this divine knowledge, and so Guru is honored like that. So for that reason, Guru Purnima, it is the appearance day of Vyasadeva, and it's also a day that is taken as an opportunity to honor one's Guru in general. So I don't know how widely this is followed throughout India, but at least in Bengal, this is something that we would see, it's a day when persons would worship their Guru, a special honor would be given. And our Guru, Srila Govinda Maharaj, this was a day he took quite seriously, actually, because he, especially in his later years when he wasn't showing such strong health, then he would not attend the daily programs in the temple. And there would only on very particular festival days, on very special festival days, he would join us in the temple. Welcome to Ramasarup, joining us on the road. So there was only like a major festival days that our Guru would personally come and preside over the program. Otherwise, he would have one of the sannyasis, another leader, lead the proceedings. So there were only let me think, maybe even less than half a dozen. Gaur Purnima, his own birthday, his own Vyasa Puja, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's appearance day and disappearance day. That's for what else? And even Janmashtami, Krishna's birthday, he wouldn't really come. What other? I mean, it was like maybe 4 or 5 days in a year, And okay, maybe we might get up to half a dozen. But this day was a day when he would come. Guru Purnima, that's tomorrow. That was a day when he would come. And for him, it was like an opportunity to glorify his Guru, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And it was something he took very, very seriously. And I was present because I would go back and forth between Calcutta and our main temple in Navadvip. So I wasn't always with our Gurudev, but I was with him maybe on 2 occasions for this festival. And then also, perhaps in the last year or 2, he wasn't coming out at all for programs. But anyway, I was there on one occasion. I remember very vividly. I see your comment here, Marie. He was serving his disciples by giving them an opportunity to serve him. This is the point I'm coming to, because actually this is the thing, that it was difficult for him to accept that, And see, because this was a bit of there was a conflict of interest. Because he wanted to honor, it's funny, you really hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, that's exactly
I
it.
grew up around clergy, and it's not that different from one faith to another. There comes a point where you just kind of get it.
That was precisely the issue that I was going to share, that for him it was a day to honor his guru, but obviously for his disciples, we're thinking, oh, this is an opportunity to honor, our guru, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and I think on some occasions he did accept that, he accepted the worship that his disciples wanted to give him. But the occasion when I was present, that I remember very vividly, he was in such a mood that he didn't want to make any compromise. And I'll never forget this day that I die. That we had a program, we had kirtan, and our Gurudev gave a talk, and then finally, it was time for Guru Puja, because generally on a day when we're honoring Guru, we have a special Guru Puja. We do an arati, we do a worship, we have a worship ceremony to honor Guru. And so then at the conclusion of the program, then some persons came with some paraphernalia for offering Guru Puja. And our Gurudev, he'd had a big photo, it was a big photo of Srila Sridhar Maharaj on the Vyasa, on the seat of honor. And so then these disciples came with this paraphernalia for arati, for worship, and they wanted to offer to our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. That was what was in their mind. That's what they're ready to do. Is Guru Purnima, we're going to offer our arati of our Gurudev. But our Gurudev, they were coming to begin the puja for him, like in person, and he became angry, and he very forcefully thrust his arm, pointing to Srila Sridhar Maharaj's picture, saying, no, you do puja of my Guru Maharaj. It was actually like he was angry. He didn't want to accept for himself, and it was so it was kind of like this, to say gut reaction cheapens it a little bit, but it was what I mean is there was no artifice, there was no sometimes we might play this false humility game, oh no, not for me, give it to that person, oh, I'm so humble, but it wasn't like that at all. It was this instinctive, he was just coming from this heart place, and he wasn't playing any diplomacy, he wasn't being polite or anything. It wasn't about being humble, nothing like that. It was just, he was just frankly, directly expressing his feelings, and he was angry and forcefully pointing, you will do the worship to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, to my Guru Maharaj. And so they did on that occasion. And it made such a deep impression on me, because it was so, I tell this story every year, so I'm sorry if some of you have heard this before. It left such a deep impression on me, that really our Gurudev, he had zero thought for himself. He had become this big guru, and he had thousands of disciples and so many resources, followers, money at his disposal. But cent per cent, Jaydev says you can never hear it enough. So you heard me you remember how I told this before. Well, that's nice to know you remember too. It was cent per cent. It was made so profoundly clear that every last you know, inch of his existence was for his Guru Maharaj. You know, nothing he had, nothing he did, not a breath that he made was in his own interest. Like on that level, that's where he was living. You know, nothing was for himself. Everything he was doing was for his Guru. Now that was made very, very clear. And, you know, I don't remember what he talked about. I don't remember anything else, you know, but that like hand gesture of him, like throwing his arm, pointing to, like, that's what I remember, in this like angry, upset expression on his face, you know, I will never forget that. And it really sets a standard for me, you know, this is what where we're trying to go, you know, and if, you know, if I ever start to think I have something, you know, I can remember that, oh, you know, not there yet, you know, not even close, you know, to live with such purity, such selflessness, you know, such sacrifice. And that reminds me of another pastime, which is also relevant to today. Today's another special event connected with tomorrow is the disappearance. So I said the appearance of Vyasadeva, and it's also the disappearance day of Sanatan Goswami. And welcome to Bhakta Jim, who's also joined us a few minutes ago. So Sanatan Goswami, it's his disappearance day tomorrow. And he is, when I say Sanatan Goswami, does that mean something to you, Marie? Okay. Well, have you heard of the 6 Goswamis? They were these, that's a good.
Oh, yeah. I remember thinking that it was sort of parallel to the work that Peter and Paul did, where like they sort of took the scriptural stuff and like translated it into practically or something like that.
No, actually, it's the other way around.
Okay.
Well, no, I suppose that is a part of what they did, but mostly they are known as our Shastra Guru, in the sense that they put in writing, you know, what is our way of practice and what is our Siddhanta, what are our teachings, you know, in a way that is, yes, practical and relevant and essential. You know, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came and he gave the essential teachings. He showed the practice. You know, he distilled the essence of the Vedic teachings, and, you know, showing this is the real conclusion of the Vedas, and this is how we are going forward. This is the real goal of life. This is the highest goal of life, and so on. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he gave that, made these things clear, but he didn't put anything in writing, and he didn't present himself he didn't present his teachings in a very scholarly way, you know, which many persons like to see, right? They like to see some evidence, so to speak, you know? And they like to see that there's some weightiness behind this. This isn't just some emotional, sentimental thing, you know, which many persons accused Mahaprabhu of, that this is what his movement is about, and still today. And of course, there are many bogus followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who do fall into that category. But anyway, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came and showed this beautiful example of, you know, living a life of surrender and devotion to Krishna. But he didn't put that in writing, and he didn't present the scriptural backing behind that. So he gave that task to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami, he was the eldest of the group, and from one angle, the head of this group, Sanatan, and then Rupa Goswami also. Rupa Goswami was his younger brother, and Rupa Goswami, he's considered to be the successor of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. he was the one who Mahaprabhu gave his specific blessings, to lead his sampradaya, to lead his lineage. It was Rupa, Sanatan, and also their nephew Jiva. These were the three principal in this group known as the six Goswamis. So Sanatan, in one sense, he was like senior because he was the eldest, and he was also the guru of Rupa. However, from another angle, Rupa is the one who received, also Raghunath of the six Goswamis. He's also one of the principal members of the group. But Rupa was the one who received Lord Chaitanya's specific blessings to continue his line as the leader. And so our one of the names by which our group is known, our lineage is known, is as Rupa Nugas. You may have heard this term. Rupa Nuga literally means followers of Rupa. So Rupa Nuga Sampradaya. Sampradaya literally means like group. We use it also to indicate a particular succession, lineage. So Rupa Nuga Sampradaya, you'll hear this term sometimes, the group of the followers, the lineage of followers of Sri Rupa. So Sanatan, he was one of the principal members of this group known as the six Goswamis. The two others which I didn't mention are Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and they all had a significant contribution, of course. So Sanatan Goswami, today is his disappearance day. And the story that came to my mind in connection with our guru, and I'll also before I tell that story, since I'm giving some background on who he is, I'll just mention too that he is known as the teacher of what's known as Sambandha Gyan. Does that phrase mean anything to you? Sambandha Gyan.
Gyan is knowledge, but I don't know.
Yes.
Sambandha.
Right, Gyan is knowledge. Very good. But Sambandha Gyan, this is a good one for the notebook. So Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govindanandini, would you mind typing into our, I feel like we did this recently in another meeting. I can't remember where or with who. Was it with you? Maybe it was in the Thursday meeting a little while ago. I don't remember. But would you mind typing out Sambandha Abhideya Prayojam in the chat and with a definition? So, thank you, Jayadev. Jayadev's done it. And if you could type the others as well, Abhideya and Prayojam. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that all knowledge, true knowledge, can be put in these three categories. Sambandha. Sambandha means, what is Sambandha? Literally, Sambandha means something like connection, right? Or relationship. Is that right? Means something like.
I will check the definitions on the glossary, but yes, I think so. Sambandha is relationship.
Sam usually means full, like sankirtan, like full or complete, and bandha, right? Like bandha, like bound, so fully bound in one sense, or full relationship. Bandha means like relation too, right? Like bandhu, right? That whole word. So that would be my guess, just on the two words put together in their separate meanings. Full relationship or full relationship.
Like a complete.
Yeah.
Right, that makes sense, yeah. So it means like Sambandha Gyan means having proper knowledge of the proper, how things are related to one another, how things are connected, or, what is what, simply put. Having a clear estimation of what is what, because generally we are under the influence of Maya, the illusory energy, and our own ego. And these things, and through the lens of these things, we project our own realities onto the environment, right? And we all perceive the environment in different ways based on our own self-interest and the influence of the illusory energy, right? But Sambandha Gyan means having like the real lowdown, you know, like what's really the nature. Oh, so Jayadev's posted a helpful text here in a quote from Prabhupada in our chat. Thank you. So Sambandha Gyan means having a proper understanding of the true nature of the environment, true nature of ourselves. So, you know, for example, understanding that we are spirit soul, we are not this body, recognizing the different material energies that play over us, understanding that's not our true self, and so on. And all of this means Sambandha Gyan, understanding the real purpose of everything in existence is for the Lord's satisfaction, not for our selfish individual enjoyment. You know, having this like kind of, you know, background knowledge of how things really work and what's the true purpose of everything. This is called Sambandha Gyan. Then Prayojan Tattva means the goal. It also, there's a literal meaning of Prayojan, Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentioned, it means like necessity. So it also can mean like our highest necessity, you know, our highest goal, highest necessity, highest need. And that in a word is prema, divine love, you know, love for the divine, for the Supreme Lord. Shri Krishna, prema, love, not liberation. You know, that's not the highest goal. Because generally in religious views, like attaining salvation, moksha, this is considered the highest end. But Lord Chaitanya actually rejected that because there's some self-interest there in that prayer and in that attainment. So he only accepted pure love as the goal to strive for, complete selflessness, completely selfless approach. And then the third, abhideya. Nice, Sambandha is like ontology. Nice, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So then the third one is abhideya, which means like the process, the path, the way. So this is the goal, and then how do we get there, right? This is the destination we're trying to reach. One way you could put it is you could say Sambandha is like your GPS identifying where you are. And then Prayojan is like the goal, the destination you're going towards. And then Abhideya is like the route or route, depending which country you're in, route. The route that you have to go along to get there, you know. And that in a word, Lord Chaitanya proclaimed to be bhakti, devotion. So through practices of devotion, pure devotion, we will attain the goal of prema. You know, this is the idea. So then how is this relevant to our discussion today? I will tell you, because it's all our Guru Varga, our gurus have identified that Sanatan Goswami, they have identified him, described him as the acharya, as the teacher of Sambandha Gyan. So Sanatan is particularly associated with Sambandha Gyan. Why? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally instructed him for 2 months, and largely in teachings of Sambandha Gyan. There are, it's 3 or maybe 4 chapters in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Sanatan Goswami, and their conversation starts with Sanatan. This is all recorded in the scripture, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so the whole discussion begins with Sanatan asking 5 questions. Ke ami, who am I? So this is a question very much connected with Sambandha Gyan. Ke ami, kene amai, jade tapachai. Why am I suffering? Who am I? These are like the first questions for every human being. You know, this is not some like, you know, abstruse Gaudiya Vaishnava Rupa knew the thing, you know, but these are questions for human civilization as a whole. Like, this is not a sectarian issue. These are questions which are relevant to every man, woman, child, animal, plant life, you know, and everything, every entity in existence. This is the most universal concern. It's not some obscure Bengali thing, you know. Yes, exactly. Questions which every religion, philosophy attempt to answer. So their discussion begins with that. Sanatan asking, who am I? Why am I suffering? How can I, you know, how can I achieve my highest benefit? What is the goal and what is the way? What is the sadhana, the path, the practice? These are the 5 questions that he asks. And then over the following chapters, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is answering. And so Sanatan, he is, and I'll also mention, this is one of the most famous verses within our, you know, community, for lack of a better word right now. But many of our members, they know this verse. It's the first answer that Chaitanya Dev gives. You know, the answer to the question, who am I? Ke ami. Jiver Supahoy, Krishner Nitya Das. That every living entity is constitutionally the swarup, the constitutional nature of every living entity. Krishna and Nitya Das, they are eternal servants of Krishna. That is the true nature. The true nature of every living entity, to have a loving relationship of service with the Supreme Lord, with the divinity. This is his answer. Krishna Subhoy, Jiva Subhoy, Krishna Nitya Das. And then what is it? Tatasta. Now I've forgotten the second line. But then he goes on to explain that the Lord has 3 principal energies, you know, spiritual energy, material energy, and the tatashta, the marginal middle energy, which is represented by the jivas. And he explains also that the jivas, they are of the same nature as Krishna, as the Lord, but quantitatively incomparable, very, very tiny. And he gives the analogy of a spark of the fire, a ray of the sun. You know, it's brilliant. This is like 4 lines, but so many questions are answered here. So many questions are answered here. You know. But that's another topic for another discussion for another day. So Sanatan, he is seen as representing Sambandha Gyan, this knowledge of what is what. Then Rupa, he is seen as the acharya of Abhideya Tattva, the path, the process, the sadhana, and Raghunath represents Prayojan Tattva, what is the highest goal. So then going back to the specific discussion, and welcome to Dana and also Charu Damodar who joined us. So the story I wanted to tell about Sanatan Goswami, very wonderful story. And we heard this from our Guru Dev, and I think it's quite well known in the Gaudiya world, that there was an occasion when Rupa, it's kind of a curious thing because Rupa, that's why I was saying, like, who's the leader in the group? It can be appreciated from different angles, right? Because we see Rupa more as like the head of the group. But Sanatan was his guru and his elder brother. And so Rupa treated him like his guru. Although, of course, Sanatan didn't, desire that. And in fact, he also had, deep reverence for Rupa. as his guru from one perspective. But anyhow, so there was one occasion when Rupa Goswami, he wanted to offer something to Sanatan, to his guru. And so he invited Sanatan, please come to my bhajan kutir, my residence. I'm looking at Marie's quote here. Yes, submit to one another. Yes, this is the mood, right? That in the highest plane, all are surrendering to one another. And in this world, it is the opposite. All want to dominate over one another. So anyhow, Rupa invited Sanatan, please come to my place, my bhajan kutir for lunch, prasad today. I would like to cook something for you. And Rupa, no, I might get the story wrong a little bit. Maybe someone else might, you can correct me but I mean, I can give the main gist of it. Also, sometimes these stories are told in different ways by our gurus. And so he wanted to cook something for Sanatan, for his guru. But of course, they have no money. They don't have, and they normally, they would like live on buttermilk, and also they would collect. We heard our Gurudev describe this once. They would collect like chapatis. Chapatis are like these flat breads, and they would collect like a stack of them, and then they would leave them to dry in the sun, and then that would dry out, and then they'd live on that like for the next week or something. Like this is how they would live, very, very simply, the bare minimum, often living under trees, So Rupa wanted to prepare something, but he didn't have anything, and so he was meditating on this and feeling this desire in his heart and feeling some sadness. And then there was this mysterious, very beautiful young woman who came and delivered these very fine ingredients for sweet rice, very fine milk and rice and some sugar and maybe some nuts. And she came and delivered this very mysteriously, unexpectedly, and she left. And then so Rupa was overjoyed, and so he prepared this very wonderful sweet rice. These ingredients were exquisite, very fine, high quality ingredients, and and so then he beforehand he told Sanatan, please come to my place for lunch. I am going to prepare something for you. And so Sanatan came, and he took the prasadam, and he ate he's eating the sweet rice, and he became puzzled, because he knew, it would be practically impossible for Rupa to get these kinds of ingredients. And so he inquired, where did you, how did you acquire these ingredients? And Rupa explained, there was this very mysterious, beautiful, girl who came and delivered them to me. And I don't know who she is. I don't know where she came from. And Sanatan, he became a little, maybe a little alarmed, or a little, maybe that's too strong of a word, but he wanted to investigate. And because he had like a sneaking suspicion, you could say, of where they'd come from, but he wanted to make sure. He hoped that it wasn't the case, and so one thing, it's a very sweet fact about Sanatan, which is known, that he was kind of unique in the sense that generally renunciates, they're not supposed to become involved with person's family lives, person's personal issues, and they're meant to keep some distance from grihastas, householders, and family matters. And but Sanatan was an exception, and that's the general advice, for persons in the renounced order to maintain their position. But Sanatan, he was an exception to this, and he had a very close relationship with all the families in the Vrindavan area. And in fact, on the day that he passed away, it said that all the men, which is tomorrow, was marked by tomorrow, it said that all the men in Vrindavan shaved their heads, which is something that would normally be done when one's father passes away. Because they called him something like, I don't remember what they had it, our Gurudev mentioned, it's in one of our books too. They called him like Bodo Dada. Maybe somebody remembers here. Do you remember Govindanandine? Like Bodo Dada, like some special name, like a big brother, something like that. They had some special name for him, like an intimate kind of family name that they had for him. And on the day of his passing, they all shaved their head like their own father had left. And so Sanatan used to kind of like help the Brajabasis, the residents of Vrindavan, with their family problems, and he'd give them advice and be a sympathetic ear. And so he had this like close family relationship. And so so Sanatan, he thought, when he heard the description of this girl, he thought, I don't know anyone like that. And then he actually went out. He spent some time like inquiring and asking around Vrindavan, oh, have you heard of the Bodo Baba? That's it, Bodo Baba. And so he spent some time inquiring, have you heard about this, young woman? And nobody knew anything about her. And so Sanatan, he came to the conclusion that Radharani herself had come and personally supplied those ingredients. But what was his response? Normally, that would be enough to send someone into, ecstatic, ecstatic, rolling on the floor and, overwhelming joy and all these things, but that was not Sanatan's response. Rather Sanatan felt utterly devastated, because, and he was upset, and he came and he to Rupa in a disturbed mood, saying that, lamenting that, our whole existence, we are using, every cent of our existence trying to serve her. She is our divine mistress. She is the object of our worship. Everything that we do is for her. We are, humbly, wholeheartedly striving to please her in the least way that we can. And yet she has come to serve us. She has come to serve us. What is this? This is unthinkable. This is unbearable. It was intolerable for him to think of that, that my whole life is to serve her, but she has done something for us. It was intolerable for him. So it's a very high standard of devotion, very high standard of devotion. Even Srila Sridhar Maharaj has pointed out, even amongst, and maybe we don't need to go into names now because it's an area where, it's a little, can start to make offense if we make comparisons, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he can do that. But so Srila Sridhar Maharaj pointed out, like he made some comparison with other exalted saints, devotees, Vaishnavas that we worship, showing examples and how they happily accepted the Lord's prasad, right? That's the standard mood. That's also a very high thing. There are very exalted Vaishnava saints who had that relationship with the Lord, and they happily received the Lord's mercy in different ways. So not to denigrate that, but just to, by contrast, show how high is Sanatan's mood. He's even above that, where he's unhappy to receive anything. He really doesn't want to receive anything in return. He only wants to be in the position of giving. And that is also that mood is also exemplified to the highest degree in Srimati Radharani. And you'll see in our altars, in the form of Radharani that was established by our Param Guru Dev, and I believe Saraswati Thakur also. Radharani, she's always depicted in this posture, like holding a garland to offer. Because you'll see often, I think usually in deities of Radharani and many others too, they are presented like giving blessings with the, I'm not sure, maybe Jayadev can say it was the left hand or right hand, I don't remember. But you'll see them, there's deep significance to all of these things,
I think it's the right hand. It's called Abhaya Mudra, which means fear not. This actually means don't be afraid. Abhaya Mudra.
Interesting.
But now that I have my mic unmuted, I was wondering, because I had the reflection and reading that by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, that there was also the consideration, I wasn't sure. Is there the consideration also who it is that's coming to bring the thing? For example, Krishna coming to bring the thing is somehow a different significance than Srimati Radharani herself bringing the thing, because her service is only meant for Krishna. So that if Krishna had come to bring the prasadam ingredients, it might have been a different reaction than if she did. Does that make sense? Is that a part of it too, or no?
Well, we could think about that, but I mean, my understanding, impression, feeling is simply that, that she is their Ishta Devata, right? She is their most worshipable deity. And so the fact that, she personally came, that was unbearable. And I mean, now reflecting on Srila Sridhar, what I heard Srila Sridhar Maharaj comment about this, then I would say, no, that wasn't an issue, because actually, well, I'll just say the example Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave as a comparison, and may I be excused of any offense, it was Madhavendra Puri, who personally received prasad from Krishna. And Madhavendra Puri, he's in a very important position for us. He's known as the Premankor, the sprout of divine love, that he came with the particular mood of divine love before Mahaprabhu, right? He first showed that in this world. And then Mahaprabhu came later and continued with that thread. So he's like the head, the beginning of our lineage, our sampradaya, right? From one angle of vision. So Madhavendra Puri has a very, very important position in our line. Oh, actually, that's another day our Gurudev did come to the temple for Madhavendra Puri's disappearance day. So very important position in our line. So let's just make that very clear. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he pointed out that Sanatan Goswami is showing a higher type of devotion, even than Madhavendra Puri. That was the comparison Srila Sridhar Maharaj made, because Madhavendra Puri, he received that prasad from Krishna very happily, but Sanatan Goswami's devotion is so high, so intense, that he was not even pleased to receive, from Radharani. So then I would say that no, what you're considering, that's not an issue here. But I think just that sentiment that, our Ishta Devata, our most worshipable deity, is coming to offer something to us, that. Because remember also, for the Rupanugas, Radharani is she, revered in a higher position even. There's more importance given to her.
That's kind of what I was meaning, like that she's even in that higher position. And then the other thing too, I was wondering, again, maybe I go too far with this, is also who he is in the Leela, and then how that would be tasteful because of who he is. I'm probably
Oh, you've muted yourself. It is mentioned in the Goro Ganodesh Deepika. It would be something to research, but he does have a position. I don't remember exactly what that is, maybe as a manjari, or I can't remember right now. But he does have some position, under Radharani. But I mean, I'm not qualified to comment anymore on this. That's above my pay grade, they say. But yeah. But I would think if Krishna came, he would also be unhappy with that. I think that would be in line with his mood, and that also would square up with Srila Sridhar Maharaj's comparison with Madhavendra Puri. So yeah. So, I was reminded of that in connection with our Gurudev's mood also, in his mood of offering everything to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. This is their high mood of devotion. Such a high area we have approached, we are within the vicinity of such a high area. We are on the outskirts of in the vicinity of such a high area. We are very privileged for that. So Sanatan Goswami, we are actually, I think our time is up, right? Yeah, but I wanted to tell also, there's many very nice stories about Sanatan. I'll just quickly tell another story. If anyone needs to go, please feel free. There's this Leela is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The one I just told, it's not recorded there. I don't know where it's recorded. Maybe, through the mouths of the Vaishnavas passed down. But this Leela is recorded in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's an occasion when Sanatan wanted to commit suicide because he had traveled from Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu, he had kind of installed Rupa and Sanatan in Vrindavan to do their work there. But they would come sometimes to visit him in Puri, where Mahaprabhu is based. And so on one occasion when Sanatan came to visit Mahaprabhu, on the way, he made contact with some polluted water, and he got all these horrible sores which were oozing pus from his body. And so he reaches Puri, and he's feeling, kind of ashamed and keeping some distance, because normally Mahaprabhu would, they'd have a wonderful embrace, but Sanatan was kind of staying back, because literally there's pus, oozing from these sores. And so he reaches Mahaprabhu, but he's keeping some distance. He doesn't want, to touch Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu doesn't care, and he comes and embraces him, and this pus is smearing on Mahaprabhu's body. And Sanatan's feeling absolutely terrible about this. And so he stays there for some time, some weeks pass, but sometimes Mahaprabhu is coming to embrace him. And again, the same thing plays out. Sanatan's like resisting, but Mahaprabhu doesn't care. And he's just forcefully embracing him. And this is bothering Sanatan so much that he finally decides that he can't tolerate it anymore. And he decides to commit suicide. And he decides during the Rathayatra ceremony to throw himself under the chariot, the wheel of the chariot cart. And so he's got this whole plan, But of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's omniscient. And so and there are other, I'm telling the short version of this story. There are other very sweet kind of aspects of it too, but this is a condensed version. So Mahaprabhu comes to him the day before he's planning to do this, and he tells him, kind of like, who do you think you are? And he says, you are my property. You belong to me and I need you. Like, how dare you? He kind of takes that mood. Like, how dare you try to harm yourself like this? You want to abandon me? I need you. And he says, there are so many things I need to accomplish, but I can't do them alone. I need your help. And you just want to throw yourself away like this. And you don't even have a right to do that because you belong to me in the first place. And he even, Haridas Thakur is there at the time, and Mahaprabhu also, he speaks to him and he says, can you believe this, Haridas? Can you believe what Sanatan's trying to do? He wants to destroy somebody else's property. Like, who does he think he is? And then he goes on in a little more of a philosophical vein, and he says, I'm a sannyasi. I shouldn't discriminate between, what different bodies are like. What's a clean body, what's a dirt. I shouldn't discriminate. I'm just seeing you in the spiritual way, and he also, then there's also this famous verse Srila Sridhar Maharaj quotes many times, Sanatan Deho Tyage Krishna Jadi Pai. There's this verse begins like that, saying, if I could achieve Krishna by giving up this body, I'm ready to do that 1,000,000 times over. And he says, however, that's not the way. And then he goes on to explain, Shravan, Kirtan, hearing and chanting, practices of devotion. This is how we will achieve Krishna. But it's an interesting, there are a few important points that can be drawn from that statement of Mahaprabhu that Srila Sridhar Maharaj has discussed. One, that we see by that statement how much earnestness one should have, that, we're ready to give up our body thousands of times, how much earnestness is required. And then secondly, that, however, like that type of physical sacrifice is not what's desired. Like we're ready to do, like one will be ready to do that if that's what is needed. However, that's not what's desired. The physical sacrifice is not worth anything. But it is sacrifice of the ego. It is sacrifice on a more subtle plane. That is what is wanted. Or giving of the heart. The giving of the heart, dedication, love, service. But the physical sacrifice, that is not what is wanted. Or just like the endeavor, physical effort, all these things, but it is something more subtle. And of course, if that is required, then one will be ready to give that. But that's not the point. That is not the objective, just to, like muscle man, that's not what this is about, but this is a more subtle transaction. So that is another very nice pastime with Sanatan Goswami, and there are others, many others described too. He's very always very like humble, kind of, you see him depicted in the kind of a shy, humble mood generally, but sometimes out of devotion, some anger may come. Like in the first story, he's very disturbed, but generally his mood is reserved and shy, like that. So Sanatan, we mentioned Guru Purnima, we mentioned the disappearance of Sanatan. It's also the beginning of Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya, and this is a very important event throughout the whole of India. Literally, Chaturmasya means 4 months, and generally it would be the time of the rainy season in India, the monsoon, and it was a time, it was, something that was especially observed by sannyasins, renunciates, and it was generally sannyasis. They would not be, it was expected that they would always be on the move. Because if they're in one place too long, you start to get comfortable, you start to get attached. So this was the custom for sannyasis, that they didn't have any fixed residence, they would always be traveling. However, during this time of the rainy season, there was this special allowance, so they could stay in one place for during that period. And then because they're staying like that in one place, and there are also particular austerities that are prescribed for that time, such as in the eating of food. There are our Gurudev didn't put so much emphasis on this, so maybe someone here can say I'm not. There are particular foods that are restricted in each of it's the 4 months. So the first month, like spinach is restricted in one of the months, yogurt is restricted in one of the months, like that. In each of the 4 months, there are a list of restricted foods. And then there are other austerities also associated with it. We don't give so much attention to it. You may find in some Vaishnava communities they do, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj, they didn't give so. There would be some kind of token observance in our mat and Navadvip. I saw that there would be of these things, but there wasn't so much importance given to it. However, the last month of this period, which falls around October time, is known as Kartik, and that's associated with Radharani. It is known as her month. And so that month, that is, more connected in the line of devotion. And so we do put much emphasis on that. But otherwise, these other months, some token observance, Another thing is the men, they won't shave. So some men during the 4 months, they won't shave at all. That's right, Mason. Corrections welcome from our group. And I remember little Bhakti Lalita, one of our Gurudev's personal secretaries, she mentioned, our Gurudev mentioned once, like, at least we can follow the first few days, like if he didn't follow like all the restrictions for the whole month, for the first few days, like he would follow some type of token observance, like that. But I remember he would let his beard, start to grow out. So anyway, it's Chaturmasya, it's more of like kind of a general Vedic observance. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentioned too, mostly it was the sannyasis who would follow it. Saraswati Thakur actually followed it very strictly. Like we've heard descriptions how he would eat off of the ground, like his mouth. He wouldn't eat like with this, like this is a kind of austerity. You just eat food off, very, very simple food off the ground, like mouth to ground, like so. And I have I don't know if we'll go into that discussion now, but for the purpose of what the mission he was establishing and the dignity of what he was doing, I believe for those reasons he did that, so persons would take his mission seriously. So anyway, and then also the fourth point about today, it is the appearance day of Bhakti Bimal Avadut Maharaj, who is one of the current acharyas, leaders, initiating gurus in our worldwide mission from Russia, and very powerful, extraordinary personality, you know, incomparable, real spiritual powerhouse, you know, and he's just superhuman and very beloved to our Guru Dev. He's established a huge mission in Russia and Ukraine, and throughout the world. He has projects going on in America and China and Thailand. He's in Turkey. The last I heard, he was in Turkey. Really amazing person. We're so proud to have somebody like that, as a member of our mission. So much he's done for our gurus. Amazing preacher and disciple of our Guru Dev. So today is his Holy Appearance Day. So we also want to offer our appreciation for him. Oh, we're really going over time now. Does anyone want to share anything before we close for today? Should we end there? Okay. Jayadev or Govindanandini or Pat's turned his mic on.
Yes.
Did you want to say something?
You've actually been, I just said to you that you've actually been to dinner with me, but you got nothing to eat.
What?
I had me dinner. I was listening, if you understand me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I have some dinner on the stove here. I'm gonna go and take nap.
Hope so, and enjoy. Well deserve it.
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate your sentiment.
I'm glad to hear that, because you've been feeding us for over an hour now. So
you're very kind. What good friends I have. All right. Well, I'm really happy we could talk about tomorrow. It's a really special day. So thanks for giving us the chance, Marie. All right. Well, we'll stop there if everyone's happy with that. It's been a wonderful meeting. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Raksha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Guru Purnima Ki Jai. Shri Sanatan Goswami Tirobhav Titi Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Dvaipayan Vedavyas Avirbhav Titi Ki Jai. This is all for tomorrow. I don't know if that's appropriate, but anyway, here we are. Chaturmasya Ki Jai. Bhakti, Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadut Maharaj Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Titi Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Okay, see you all next time. Jai.
Bye.